Hello, I'm John.
Hello, I am Andrew.
And this is Agree to Disagree. So, I fucking hate No More Heroes.
I still cannot believe that statement.
Okay, so I was really disappointed when the game came out, because before the game came out, let me set the stage here. I was ecstatic to see that a Japanese developer who I had heard of, and he makes really cool, just interesting artistic games.
At this point, he had just made Killer 7,
Yeah.
I want to say. But that is enough.
He's the video game developer equivalent of a visionary director.
Yeah, I would say he's the video game equivalent of Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, that's fair. So this guy, I heard he was making a game, looking at all the screenshots and all the sneak peeks and stuff like that, and it led me to believe that what I was going to get was sort of like a Japanese, quirky version of Grand Theft Auto. Like,
okay, fair.
It was going to be an open world action game. Right. Where, instead of it being like a gangland thing, you're going after assassins, and I was immediately turned off when I got the game, and I was really excited. I liked all the setup and everything, and then the very moment I get out into the open world of the game, there is no one. It is a city with no one living in it. And I was just immediately like, okay, so I'm just going to drive around this open, barren city.
So let's break this down. So, No More Heroes is a video game that was released for the Nintendo Wii in December 7th. No, sorry, not December 7th. December of 2007, and in the United States, 2008. I want to get the actual date on that. Please, Wikipedia, for the love of God, help me. This thing is not loading.
And it was...
totally part of the podcast.
It was later released...
January 22nd, 2008 in the United States.
And then later released on the Xbox 360 and PS3.
Yes, it was.
As a side note, it was originally going to be a 360 game, but...
What was the title for that? There was something else. It was No More Heroes...
It was something...
Heroes Paradise.
Yeah, Heroes Paradise.
Right, which was apparently... If I remember correctly, the reviews were far lower for that one than it was for the original. But let's double check that, since that is also part of this show. Reception for No More Heroes is a solid, looking like a B. Famitsu gave it a 34 out of 40.
And
most aggregate scores are sitting in the 80s.
Yes, I did. For you, I looked at the Metacritic scores.
Thank you. Because you knew I would totally forget about
on
this
Metacritic,
part.
it sits at an 8 out of 10. Like 8.3 or something like that.
Okay.
And the bulk of reviewers were ecstatic about the game, and all the negative reviews for the game were actually still middle of the ground. Like, we're talking 6s and 5s.
By the way, for reference, I just looked up Heroes Paradise's scores. Hero Paradise was sitting more around a 7.5 by comparison to the 8 to 9 that was given to the original.
And most of the major outlets really dug this game, and the one that stood out for me in the middling scores was actually Game Informer. Game Informer was not super enthralled.
I feel like, I will say this, I hate to make the Nintendo...
I mean, they gave it a 6, which
fair enough.
is still a good score.
I hate to make the Nintendo bias conspiracy theory brought to this podcast, but especially as someone who played Wii games during the Wii era, I always felt that there was some kind of absurd backlash that was always happening to Nintendo during that era, whether actually existing or not, factual or not. That was certainly how I felt at the time. I don't think that was actually the case looking back. I really just think people didn't fully understand what the Wii was trying to do, and therefore were judging it based on a typical game system and had no idea what it was doing, and then years later we look back and we're like, oh, now we get it. But so the hindsight's the worst sometimes.
So the whole reason that Suda 5.1 put No More Heroes on the Wii, and it was a Wii exclusive game, allegedly.
So was Resident Evil 4 come to GameCube.
Exactly, yeah.
There are some companies that are the worst with exclusive stuff.
But so the purpose behind it was, since the main character Travis Touchdown has a laser sword.
Yes, he does.
The idea was that the Wii Remote would be great for the laser sword, and they actually did the controls really well. They weren't trying to do like a one-to-one kind of thing. The game was able to sense whether or not you were doing a high swing or a low swing. and the nunchuck was used to navigate your character.
I will say, in that comparison to a later Nintendo game that would actually try and adapt one-to-one motion, which was Skyward Sword.
Don't get me started on that game.
I know, but just for reference, I will say for a game that did try to do one-to-one, I think No More Heroes was able to find good ground in that regard.
Oh, yeah.
Where I always felt like the controller was an integral part of what was happening without it being bothersome.
You could make the argument maybe that No More Heroes was the Wii bowling of hack and slash.
Kinda, yeah. Oh, that's a good phrase. I like that. But all right, let's start on actual criticism here, because otherwise we're going to be here all day.
Right.
So your starting criticism is that you was sold to you as Japanese pixel GTA, and you didn't get that.
Yes. In fact,
okay.
That is a game that I would not actually get, or a video game lover's GTA, like the video game nerds GTA.
Yeah.
You know, someone who grew up playing video games, and it'd be kind of like video game referential and all that.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't actually come until Retro City Rampage.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Retro City Rampage.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I would actually... So here's the thing, and you brought up a phrase, and I will address the actual criticism in a second, which was that it felt like Japanese pixel... It didn't feel like the Japanese pixel GTA that you were promised. I don't think the game actually loved the culture that we were a part of. I remember there was one thing that was major to me when I first saw someone playing it, which was like the reason I needed a copy, which is that intro video. That like opening intro where Travis is criticizing the player and like making fun of his own life and also bitching about his own problems, and then it ends with him just decapitating fools and it being like, oh, this is the game I'm playing right now. I don't think, as much as the game seems like it, from the pixel art and the Japanese otaku references and the fact that he says moe on a level that I never ever want to actually take the time to research what it was again, because I think the last time I looked it up, my brain may have lost neurons in like a desperate bid to purge that part of memory before I remembered what it was. I don't think the game... Okay, so, I mean, this actually ties into Scott Pilgrim. We were talking about this last week, and I really think the game actively does not like nerd culture.
Like you think it's actively trying to poke fun at it,
I don't
rather
think
than glorify it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it comes across, and I guess this comes into more play in Desperate Struggle later in the sequel in the series, but that's not what we're talking about. With the original, I feel like it seems like it has the taste of something that seems like it's glorifying it. I genuinely think the game is making fun of the player. I actually think that most of No More Heroes is spent mocking the player for enjoying the things that they do. And I hate saying that because it sounds like a pretentious meaning that I'm finding in the actual game that wasn't there originally, but... and that's not saying it's a bad game to me, and that's certainly not saying that I think Suda 5-1 thinks everyone's idiots. I just think that he doesn't like the culture that has sprout up around video games, and I feel like No More Heroes is a giant criticism of all of that. It's like a really well-written piece of satire where you don't fully understand it until like 5 years later, you take a step back and you just think to yourself, that was amazing, but my God, I didn't see any of the symbolism here. Or it's like taking a look at a Mark Twain piece to me.
Yeah.
Right? You don't fully understand it until you're 5 years older and you potentially had a few more drinks in you, and you're like, oh God, that was... Oh, no. But to your point,
yeah,
I never got the feeling that it was sold as a open world game that I just forgot was open world, or like wasn't the open world game I was promised.
And it could just be that I might have been projecting what I wanted the game to be.
Potentially.
That's a very big possibility.
Yeah.
But I still don't know if it's a game that I would enjoy.
There is always that possibility.
It feels really weird to have a game where even if you just have a bunch of NPCs that you can't interact with, but they're there just to flesh out the world.
Right.
Like, that would have made a huge difference to me. Because you built this entire town, and there's not really a lot to do except for you got an odd job to, like, mow someone's lawn or something like that, and you got to go over there.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, it's just, like, even Crazy Taxi had a bunch of NPCs. In fact, if that game was a little bit more like Crazy Taxi, now you've sold me.
So I will not defend the open world. I'm not about to spend my time I'm not about to waste my time defending something that I have no defense for. It is something that, looking back, at least for the moment, I remember being super frustrated with at the time too. I remember trying to find Lovakov's stuff, and that being actually supremely entertaining. Okay. And that, like, being kind of fun to find, like, the individual minigame things. But pathing is annoying. Invisible walls that weren't there were super annoying. Even trying to find Lovakov's thing. And that was the only really fun thing that I remember in the open world. The rest of it, the only stuff that I remember being genuinely fun from the open world perspective were the odd jobs and the assassination jobs when you actually got to them.
Okay.
I remember also having to hit up an ATM on a regular basis and just being like, what the fuck do you mean that's across town? Like, it was so maddening. I remember the open world was one genuinely infuriating thing about that game that I cannot defend.
So tell me, what are you willing to defend about the game? Because you love this game.
I do, and that's the thing. And as frustrating as some of that stuff is, everything else in it I find fascinating and interesting from a very bizarre standpoint. The game is essentially, when you break it down to its component parts, it is a dark satirical action RPG.
Yes.
It has elements of an RPG, it has elements of cash gathering, and the kind of stuff that you expect from an RPG to buy upgrades and change yourself as a person, and then actually getting into the action combat stuff. And that is what it is from a genre type. But it is the most baffling bucking of trends in video games that I have ever seen. The hero is not the protagonist is not a hero. Travis Touchdown is an objectively terrible human being.
Yes, he is. I mean, he is... is it fair to say he's sexist?
Mm-hmm. He's a misogynist. He's a 26-year-old loner. Okay, if you could put the term meninist on him before meninist, that was before men's rights activist was a thing. I would bet very good money that Travis Touchdown would have been a men's rights activist. He is a misogynistic 27-year-old loner living out of a motel that he can barely afford, and he spends his money on frivolous, dumb bullshit instead of actually doing things that are effective for human society. He is a waste of a human being, and we all know it. Yeah. And yet he's the protagonist of this. Mm-hmm. And you feel for him, and you end up actually caring about his well-being by the end, because you watch him caught in a situation that he genuinely does not and cannot understand, and it's a man desperately groping at the strands of reality that he has, just trying to comprehend things that are going on, and mercilessly occasionally killing those problems.
Yeah, all right.
One of the things that will always stand out to me about this game is the brilliance in the concept. And I say this...
Go on.
As someone who does love this game, the brilliance of the concept is this. I am selling you a video game. There are 10 bosses. Mm-hmm. You have this one weapon. Your character is an asshole. Kill things. I can actually summarize this in a single sentence, which is: lonely man buys a weapon on eBay and decides after a mission with aforementioned weapon that he is going to become the world's greatest assassin. That is essentially the game in a nutshell.
Yeah, that sounds like a perfect elevator pitch of the game.
But the weird thing about it, and this is kind of why I love it, is the complexity that begins to develop around that very simple concept. So many things start happening from a character standpoint that it, to me, represents some of the best writing you can find in a video game. The fact that, if I remember correctly, number 6 just dies before you even fight him.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, the German guy with the giant brain... that thing's just dead, and you don't know why, and then Henry shows up, and becomes potentially the primary villain of the whole game. In a split second, everything changes, because this one guy was able to kill something instead of you. The fact that Sylvia is behind the scenes controlling everything, and you don't know anything about that, even up until and past the phone call with number 1. All of the stuff with Jean at the end, the fact that they had to fast forward it, and for the first time ever, I had to look up a clip on YouTube being like, what was any of that? Which, by the way, if you haven't done that, do it, because when you replay it, which, keep in mind, once again, for the audience, the gag of the show is that we are going to be redoing this stuff in a week. And we're going to record the second episode. We did this with Scott Pilgrim, but both of us are going to play through by next week. No More Heroes.
Yes, or at least a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
Enough that we feel like we get the game.
Yeah. But one thing I want you to do, and this is actually super important,
challenge me,
is that even if you don't make it through the game, which once again we have limited time, there's no guarantee.
Watch a walkthrough.
We both work for a living. We both have important things to do. We have things to attend to. If you do one thing with this game rather than just playing it, look up the final clip with Jean at the end of the game in slow motion on YouTube, which they've done because they did this back in 2008. I'm left to assume it's still on YouTube. And it is a very fascinating take on how to tell video games.
I'll tell you what. You link it to me, and I will make sure I watch it before we meet up again.
But I would say the same argument that I have for this game is potentially some of the same arguments I have for most of the Tarantino movies that I love. They're interesting and offer a different perspective on how stories should be told in the media.
Now that raises an interesting question. Do you think that the Tarantino style format, like the sort of like the self-referential or do you think that works better in movies than it does in video games?
No. I think it works better in games.
Do you think it works better in games?
I actually think No More Heroes might be one of the most entertaining things. Don't get me wrong. I am not saying it's perfect. I am saying that open world is the worst thing ever, and that bike needs to die in a fire. And
no one listening to this is going to think that you think that it's the greatest game ever made.
But I will also say that I think the idea, and once again, Quentin Tarantino was, and for a large chunk of my life, potentially one of my favorite directors of all time. I still love his films.
Oh, he's a fantastic director.
Django Unchained might be one of my favorite movies of all time. Pulp Fiction, I wrote actual 20-page dissertations about in college. Like, I have actual arguments for like my love for his movies. But I think what happens in No More Heroes is, from a maybe from a gameplay standpoint, it's not the best game, but from a story standpoint, it offers the most fascinating takedown of every trope that we have come to assume happens in an action adventure game since video games were a thing. Travis Touchdown is the worst. Just the worst. The villains of the game, the top 10 assassins, all have genuinely moving speeches about why they do what they do and the horrors that they have to go through in their lives.
And he's just a dickhead with a laser sword.
But here's the thing, like, was it Death Metal? The first boss gives him a title at the end, the Master of the Heavenly Sword, and Travis decapitates him, not giving a single shit about it. Dr. Peace tells him about how he just saw his daughter yesterday, and then he got called to this fight, and now that's what he's there for. But he's got to go see his daughter tomorrow, and she's 14, and he fucking loves her, and he showers her with money, and he loves his daughter, and you kill that asshole like it's nothing. Number 8 is a 15-year-old girl with a katana, and she shreds you, and then you cut off her hands. And she claims to become a student of Travis because clearly she has been shown her sense of vengeance is wrong. Holly blows herself up with a hand grenade rather than admit defeat. Number 6 gets cut down by Henry and is the only one that genuinely seems irredeemable. And you do this for 10 bosses, and it's actually a slog. Like, that game starts to hurt after a while. So the one irredeemable person, well, okay, there are multiple, but I don't want to ruin the game for you. I think number 1 is fascinating in that regard. Darkstar is a crazy damn boss. But the one before it, number 2, Bad Girl, I really hope you see her, because she is the reason that game means something.
Really?
She is an irredeemable, sadistic, Lolita skirt-wearing, bat-wielding, crazy person.
Well, and to be fair, most people I know who are deep into Lolita are
supremely fucked up.
Not supremely fucked
Don't
up.
Lie to yourself. Don't lie to yourself.
Maybe. I don't want to disparage Lolita.
Yeah, because if we're gonna make fun of one subculture, let's not make fun of them. No, I can make fun of a men's rights activist, and we're not gonna get doxxed at all.
Hey, you know what? I don't give a fuck. I am a guy.
Fuck those people. Anyway, no, but seriously, Bad Girl is the fight, because for the entire game, it's been a bit of a slog. It's been a meaningful, if not painful, journey through what murder means as a human being, and what we acknowledge as violence. And then you run into Mean Girl, who is hanging out in one of the former bosses' hangouts, literally beating Gimps to death with a baseball bat.
Jesus.
And that's just a thing, and I will give Suda 5-1 this. The man does not know subtlety. This is why I joke that he's the Quentin Tarantino of video games.
So for the
Neither
record,
of them know subtlety.
For the record, Suda 5-1 used Quentin Tarantino as an inspiration for developing this game. And
he has every reason to. It has the same tone of... It reminds me a lot of Pulp Fiction in that despite the fact that Pulp Fiction is a very violent movie, I fully don't think that a lot of the movie-going public recognizes how non-violent of a message that film has. And it's the same thing with No More Heroes, where the entire game you've been hacking random assholes down. And you've been hacking down the big people, who also all have plot lines, also have thoughts behind them and meaning and pathos. And then Bad Girl shows up and just throws everything out the window. You don't know a single thing about this person except your intro is her killing people. And she looks at you and says, "Don't think you're better than me." And no, the entire point is she swears her ass off at you, calling you a fucking asshole at the top of her lungs. And she's like a 18-year-old with a baseball bat and a Lolita skirt. And she looks at you with a bloody baseball bat and points it right at you and is like, "Don't think you're better than me. How many people did you murder to get here? How many people did you have to cut through to get to number 2? I got here because I accept that I'm a psychopath. You haven't caught on to that yet." And it's the most self-aware moment I've seen in a video game where I had to actually stop the first time I was playing, just look at myself and be like, "Oh shit, she's right. Oh god." And I get it. They're meaningless pixels and they're meaningless things that the entire point is to attack you. And that is the plot of the game. And that is the plot of all games. I have never felt more heartfelt connection to a Goomba than I have before that moment where Bad Girl looks at you and is like, "You're a murderer. What's the difference?" And I had a moment of just, shit, I have no reason. I have no argument. Oh, everything has broken down. I don't know who I am anymore. And it's just this absurdly meaningful experience that I think anyone who plays video games needs to have a moment of the game calling you out on the things that you've done. It would, to me, and I hate making this comparison because we'll get not flagged, but we'll get called out for this kind of language. It's Undertale before Undertale was Undertale. It's Sans kicking in the door and saying, "Hey man, you killed a lot of people. You know what you're gonna fight now? The last boss. Guess what? I am it."
Well, thanks for spoiling Undertale for me.
Really?
I've been meaning to get to it.
Oh no, really? Can that please be the transition to the next chunk of the episode? Is me accidentally ruining Undertale for you? I feel terrible.
Okay, we'll see you guys next week, alright?
Oh, damn it.
And we're back.
We are, and we're both exhausted because that was a very long game.
It is a very long game, and I have to admit right up front, I didn't finish the game.
I will also say I didn't finish either, because it's a long game, and we both had very little time to completely do it.
Yes, and you had encouraged me that even if I couldn't finish the game, that we still take the time. Yeah, you encouraged me to watch the cinematics for the entire game.
I did.
And I did that. I actually did that right before I came here.
I also did, as a matter of fact. Okay. Yeah, I will openly admit. So, just state for, I think, the audience and myself, what killer did you reach?
Okay, so I beat I'm going to say the third boss, which was killer number 8. Okay. Was that... Okay.
Shinobu.
The one that was the schoolgirl.
Yeah. Black Japanese girl with katana. Shinobu.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so you beat her.
Yes.
Okay.
And that so I will say, having watched the cinematics, that so even though let me give some background real quick.
Yes.
I didn't beat the game yet, but I'm willing to admit I am going to beat the game.
See? Okay.
I enjoyed playing the game a hell of a lot more than I did during my first experience with it.
Okay, and for the record, I made my way all the way up to killer number 3. I made my way up to the mission for Speedbuster. I had the cash all ready for it and lost my entire weekend to other stuff and wasn't able to do it. I will also openly admit, and we'll obviously talk about this later, but I think the reason I was able to get my way up all the way to killer 3 is I actually got into an optimization routine just from playing the game enough times where I'm like, oh, right, need to do this, get that. Like, I had the built-in routines just because I played No More Heroes enough that I think the only reason I was able to get there was just because I played it like a grind
See, and I kept catching myself kind of just exploring the world, driving around the city like I did the first time, except it was from a different mindset this time, where like I really got into how thought out all of the set pieces of the game are. There's a lot of extraneous detail put into this game that isn't necessary.
Oh, not all.
But it's all there, and like you can go to any of the set, like the main environments, whether it's the open world or like the chunks of the arenas in which you do battle. Like for instance, as far as I made it, the schoolgirl, she like you spoilers in case anyone cares about that. But I mean, you walk across the field and you go to this like abandoned school building that's not in use anymore.
Yeah.
And the entire thing is like this original set piece that's not used anywhere else in the game. And every corner of that has like desks and chairs that are overturned, and like there's rooms that are furnished with desks and like other equipment that you can't interact with, but it's there to make it feel like it's much more of a larger lived-in world than it actually is.
I would actually completely agree with that, and I would say the killer fights are actually at the top number on that one. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think there's a single fight that is done in a non-wholly original set piece. And like Death Metal, that entire fight in his courtyard, you never even set foot in that courtyard beforehand. Dr. Peace, you hadn't made your way to the baseball diamond. Shinobu has the building, Destroy Man has the cinema, Holly is on a completely different beach. I know I'm naming people you didn't get the chance to see, but
I did watch the cinematics.
Every single arena, completely different.
Yeah.
And you're right. That is a huge thing that I don't think ever gets brought up.
And the reason for the scale of the world is that a lot of those different set pieces take place on there is a reason for all these different regions to exist. I'm not sure if they needed it to be completely free roaming, but they did. And the way that they fleshed out, or they made the excuse for having the full world, are the fake Dragon Ball orbs that you have to collect.
Oh my god. I will openly admit, the second I figured out I could go get those, the second Gold Town opened, I think I actually just killed an hour finding... Oh god, I found 35 of those things.
I have to say, that's about where I got too. Like, I collected a good chunk of them because I was just like I had been randomly running into them already.
Yeah.
But then after the place opens and you talk to the guy, and suddenly you have icons on your map, so you know exactly where every single one is.
And then the sound, the audio cue kicks in, you're like, right, it's around the corner.
Okay, so little touches that I did really like about this game.
Yes.
I like that as I was playing it on the Wii. I wasn't playing the 360 version or the PS3 version.
For reference, both of us were playing it on the Wii then, because I was as well.
Okay,
which
so
is, to me, how it should be played. But that's
it was definitely, like, there are certain things that are better on the Wii. Like, when you are... Before you get to the what's it called? The Garden of...
the Garden of Madness?
Garden of Madness. Before you get to every single boss arena, Travis Touchdown gets a phone call. And on the Wii, when you get the phone call, it comes through the little speaker on the Wii remote, and that was one of the most wonderful uses of that, because that shitty little speaker is perfect for having a shitty little flip phone.
and the thing,
and you lift it up and it
actually
vibrates, and you hold it up to your ear, and it's
as if you're getting a phone call. It's wonderful.
It's done in an environment where there's not going to be any enemies attacking you, and even Travis, you have nothing better to do because he slows to a crawl, like just a casual walking, like a person does while they're on the phone, aimlessly wandering around.
I had a feeling that those were subtle loading screens that just because of Suda 5.1's weirdness, they can load in the entire boss arena before that, and they were just like, how do we do that? Now he gets a phone call? Oh, that works.
Speaking of loading, I did really... another thing the game does really well is the way that they handle the transition effects between set pieces.
Yeah.
Where you get that guitar strum, and then whatever...
You get the second part of the chord afterwards.
Yeah,
nice.
Whatever screen you're on does this pixel junk kind of black and white kind of thing.
It looks awesome.
It looks awesome, and there's a random texture beneath it. Yeah. Or occasionally there's when you go into the boss arena, there's stickers that cover the entire screen that have something to do with the arena. It's not just a random thing.
Yeah.
It was really, really... You could tell that there was a lot of thought, a lot of time, and a lot of love put into this game. I don't feel like they successfully... Okay, so I've gushed a little bit now.
Yeah. So let's go back to your original criticism, shall we? So
Yeah.
one of your main ones I remember you bringing up was the free roaming world wasn't what you would want. What do you think about that now, having replayed?
I still think that the free roaming world did not live up to the potential. I talked to my roommate Adam about this a couple times while I was playing the game, and there's some things that they could have done that they didn't do. Like, for instance, you have these avatars of people walking around the environment, but if you run into them, you're just like pushing around. I actually wasted a bunch of time just like seeing someone walk down the street, and I just walk into them to like push them into an alleyway, and then I push them through the alleyway onto the next street. Like, and there's no real way to interact with them or anything.
I just imagine you just like slowly walking down the street, just like shoving a person into a.
And there's not even any real resistance when you try to do it. They just like they glide.
Yeah.
Like, it's like moving like a air hockey puck.
You're not wrong. It very much feels like almost as if the developer knew they were completely pointless and just there for surface, and like that's what they made them. And it's kind of this is why I feel always weird critiquing this kind of stuff in Suda 5.1 games, where I feel like I'm critiquing the artistic aspect of it, and like I'm gonna lose some kind of cred with an alternative crowd who's like, you just didn't get it, man. Like, no, I got it. It doesn't make it any less dumb.
Yeah, the other things about the open world, there are some moments where it's kind of like, once again, you are in this full city, and there's like not really a lot of cars on the road, and the Wii actually kind of struggles to load distant objects. And
I don't know how many times I ran into a building or a car because I was using the nitro on the bike, and the texture didn't load in until I already realized that I was about to crash into it.
And okay, so here's the thing that I did I came up with a headcanon while I was playing the game.
Okay.
So that I wouldn't just constantly be critiquing this.
Is this some Helix fossil nonsense?
Kind of.
Okay. Good.
All right, ready, Twitch listeners? I started imagining, what if... Okay, so Travis Touchdown is a character that you discover through osmosis of playing the game. He used to be a masked fighter, a luchador, you know?
Which was
like,
an interesting, if not weird,
they don't really dive much into it, except that the entire town is also themed after wrestling and fighting.
Yeah, Santa Destroy, Beefhead Video, everything is named in like super bizarre, like very pro wrestling style ways.
Yeah, and so...
Oh, sorry, there's a better reference in like, was it like Rounding... uppercut or something like that station. Rounding body press station.
Yeah.
It's like, why is
like,
that named?
All even random shops that everything is themed after this idea of fighting and wrestling.
Okay, sure.
And you run into these people and you can't interact with them. You can push them around. They're not real people.
If you say this is a dream,
no, not a dream, not a dream. I had a theory that Travis Touchdown is actually in a coma. Travis Touchdown got a serious head injury in the ring, and he's kind of like lost in the weeds, and that's why as he's going down this darker path of becoming the best killer, the best assassin, and you're entering the Garden of Madness. It's actually you dealing with like you're fighting your demons, but you're actually fighting them in the wrong way and getting worse.
This makes so much sense, and that is terrifying to me.
So, like, it's like he's also an otaku. He's got an obsession with it. Of course, one of the people he goes against is a girl. You sound like you're straight out of an anime or a samurai flick.
And then he fights Destroy Man in the style of like a classic superhero blended with a professional wrestler.
Exactly.
Speedbuster doesn't make any damn sense. Thunder Ryu actually Thunder Ryu makes total sense in this idea because he's a former pro wrestler who like became Travis's master, then gets brutal. Oh my god, this is making too much sense.
But then there's also other things like the what's the name of the lady that you meet at the bar who sets this whole thing
Sylvia Crystal.
Sylvia the con artist.
Yes.
She, like, the whole idea is set up that you're doing all this so that you can have sex with her, essentially. Mm-hmm. Which, don't get me started on that. But hang on. It makes so much sense that in like a fantasy dream coma-like state, you're trying to have sex with something, and everything is always getting in the way of you, like accomplishing that feat. Like, that's a very dream-like thing.
Yeah, from a film theory standpoint, it does follow a lot of the hallmarks of, like, dream logic, where it's like, you want to go after this person. Well, yeah, you do. You would have to kill a bunch of people on the way. Sure, why not? Like, you buy that. You probably had a dream like that.
And then I also used the fact that the Wii was loading so shittily the rest of the environment is sort of like, well, things don't exist unless Travis is there. Nothing exists unless Travis is there.
Okay, getting off this absurd common theory and back to the actual, because this is amazing, but like actual things.
Actual, factual, tangible video games.
Yes. So I think, to your point, I will say, as someone who did play this game a lot, I think, and I mentioned this before, I think half the reason I was even able to reach rank 3 was because I knew optimal grinding strategies and was able to take advantage of that. Despite the fact that I do love this game, and I still love this game walking out, I forgot how much grind there is in this game. There is so much grind. Grind for cash to buy upgrades, to buy other things. If you want to get clothes, well, you're just going to stop yourself from getting to the next fight.
I hope you don't mind collecting coconuts, because you're going to be doing a lot of collecting coconuts.
Those side missions are actually kind of fun.
They're fun, except you don't get enough of them.
Oh, God, no.
Like,
you get like 8.
Yeah.
And the murder missions are just boring.
Yeah, you going to the same fucking warehouse over and over again.
I don't know how many times I played that dark side mission just because it was the easiest thing.
Like, it's frustrating as hell.
Yeah.
Now, I will say there are some things that help. Like, once again, collecting the orbs mitigates some of that annoyance. They alleviate that. Luckily, also, spending the orbs doesn't cost you any money.
No, which is nice.
And then also, I bought an upgrade pretty early on for my beam sword so that I was finding treasure around town.
Right.
But how like
it's not even that much. It's
$1,000 every time.
Do you know how much time I wasted on that stupid beam tracker being like, it's slightly vibrating more. I got 1,000. Okay, never using this again.
Yeah, like, so there's little things that they did that help try to like reduce some of the frustration.
Yeah.
But it wasn't enough. There needs to be more.
Agreed.
The game needs more content. It needed
so much less grind.
Yeah, okay, so another complaint that I have,
yeah,
the localization is not very good. Like, even if you make the argument that was intentionally so, it was still fucking annoying.
Well, like which ones? Out of curiosity.
Pretty much every cinematic, the actual dialogue that's trading between the characters is like disjointed feeling. It feels like they're not talking about the same thing, or I miss some information.
Yeah, fair
when they're talking. Like he'll just offhandedly say something that's meant to be like a funny quip, but it lands completely flat to me because I'm not sure where it even came from.
See, I wonder this, and I am stating this without any knowledge of the facts because I have yet to. I've never played it in Japanese. I've never even watched the Japanese version. I am wondering if that's just Suda 5-1 being a crazy person.
Maybe.
I am distinctly wondering. It reminds me of like an auteur filmmaker making. It's like a Tarantino thing where it's like he's making references, like Tarantino back in the day where he wasn't as popular, like post Dusk Till Dawn Tarantino, where he's like making references to shit that like people just do not know. And I'm wondering if that's what Suda 5-1 stuff was when he was doing No More Heroes 1, where he's just like doing references to random nonsense Kojima style that he just happens to like, and like everyone else is sitting on the sidelines thinking, I guess that's funny. What was that?
No,
yeah.
Like, okay, so having now also watched the cinematics for the rest of the movie, I also feel like the story for the game is completely front-loaded. Like, the premise, the setup, it's all at the front, and then the game doesn't actually get really interesting until you're, like, ranked number 4. Like...
Yeah, killing Harvey is... Actually, I would say killing Let's Shake. When you don't kill Let's Shake.
Right.
When Henry jumps in and murders him.
For the record, there's a boss battle in this game where you get to the fight, you're in the middle of a wind farm, desert highway kind of thing, and the battle's about to begin, and there's all this build-up, and you got a villain who's got this giant brain tank thing.
Which is like some earthquake machine.
Yeah, an earthquake laser bomb machine. And the villain who's riding alongside it is fucking wearing a Virtual Boy on his face.
Mohawk, guitar at his side,
he
shouting in German.
Complete and total, like desert punk kind of tech, post-tech
It's
dystopian.
very Mad Max.
Yes. Mad Max when the Nintendo already existed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's actually pretty.
And then anyway,
then okay, so right when the battle's about to begin, suddenly this complete like non sequitur Deus Ex Machina guy appears out of nowhere, falls out of the sky, and laser sword chops the machine in half.
And then the slice kills the other one too.
Yeah.
If you didn't notice that.
Yeah. So the boss, I thought that was a nice touch that they did something like that.
Yeah.
And then that's when the game really starts like diving down a plot. But you have to get through hours of gameplay to get to that point where it's like, oh, maybe something's not entirely on the up and up here. Maybe something else is going on.
I agree. I would definitely argue. So the thing is, and I feel like this is why I get along with this game in the same style that I get along with like Tarantino, or why I'm pretty sure people get along with like Jodorowsky or something like that. I've never actually seen any of his movies, but I've heard enough about them where I'm like, oh, maybe it's the same reason I like something like No More Heroes, which is that really the story in Suda 5-1 games is very much a meh kind of situation where it's interesting, and like that's the point where it's like fascinating. The world he built is crazy, and like he does a lot of awesome stuff with the boss fights and stuff like that. But really, it in the end kind of boils down to like the growth of Travis and this like weird world situation. The one where things to me really get dramatic is just after destroying that with Holly, with number 6, the one who kills herself with a grenade.
Oh yeah,
that's the one where things get like, oh, ooh, this got real. Because that was the first one where the player, and as someone who beat my way through it, it's the one that reminded me that at that point is when the player starts feeling guilt for just murdering everyone.
Right, because shortly before that, Travis refused to kill a child.
Yeah, and then you fought Destroy Man and realized, oh, right, for every, like, revenge-filled kid out there, there are also just sadistic psychopaths.
And so, let's say you battled your way through the game, and you, past the midpoint, you start getting really intrigued by this game, and then you get to the end, and then there is the cinematic battle between you and what you find out is actually your brother.
The guy who killed Leadshake, Henry.
Yeah.
Who you later know as Henry Touchdown, I guess? Does he have the same last? Whatever. Anyway, Henry.
And Henry. And then the game just leaves you off being like it cuts to like Travis and his brother turn into a painting of them in front of the giant ass Santa Destroy flag,
and then
Sylvia walks by dressed like Sylvia,
with her daughter named Jean, who is named after the woman that you just killed, who's ranked number 1, who's the woman who killed your parents,
who
also the woman who Travis was in love with.
Who
is also his half-sister.
There we go.
Yeah. Really, that kind of just boils down how absolutely nuts this game is. Also, for reference, I think I was mispronouncing it the entire time and saying John. It's actually Gene.
Yeah.
And I completely botched that.
But that's okay. But the thing is, the fact of the matter is, you don't find any of that information out, even about the setup and premise of the death. Like, you know his parents are dead. Mm-hmm. But you don't know that that is actually important in any respect until that moment.
Heck, you don't even know that until you actually watch the game clip on YouTube and get it in rewind, so you can actually understand what Gene is saying, because it's in fast forward. By the way, the No More Heroes Forever joke, still funny. But no, there's that.
Okay, so when they start making the thing that led to us playing this game to begin with is the conversation about Scott Pilgrim, and something that is mildly self-aware or self-referential or references video games
and retro.
Yeah, it's vying for the attention and love of people who love that kind of stuff.
Yes.
This game doesn't really do that until you get towards the end. Like, there's a lot of really nice touches, a lot of really nice quirks, a lot of really fun things that happen in the game, but I feel like it doesn't. It's not evenly spread across the surface of this toast.
No, not at all. But I would also say this, in that I think they're going for 2 different angles. Scott Pilgrim is very much, they're 2 very different ideas on this. On the retro aspect, Scott Pilgrim is very much in love with that stuff, uses it to create a character and world, and it's very actually a fan of the things that, like, they're talking about, like a fan of retro games. Mm-hmm. A lot of the plot's based on that, like the life gags and stuff like that. And they become very plot important. I think No More Heroes actively dislikes the player. It reminds me of because once again, I think I talked about this on the first portion. The scene with Bad Girl that is just like a frickin' like bomb in the middle of the room. I really think if anyone was going to do the real final fight other than Suda 5-1, they would have made her the final boss.
Right.
Because she is everything that Travis is, from a sheer sadistic, look what you've been doing the entire time. You've literally been killing goons coming out of a clone machine without thinking anything about them, and then just fucking off and doing nothing else, and then coming back to murder them again. It's literally the cycle that Bad Girl puts herself through. I remember looking this up. Those gifts, actually, that's a cloning machine. They just come out, she kills them, and that's literally their lifespan. And technically, that's the best criticism on the entire game in itself. It is a criticism of the video game medium to be like, yeah, you're killing random nothings who you know nothing about to fight people who are slightly worse than you. Like, the only thing that separates you from Bad Girl is, like, what, a code of honor? And that really doesn't mean anything in a video game context.
So, essentially, this game, what you're saying is that this game is the most punk rock game ever made.
I mean, so that's the funniest thing, is that I was looking when I was booting it up again yesterday, the Grasshopper manufacturer thing comes up.
Punk's
it says
not
on there,
dead.
Punk's not dead, and I just realized, oh crap, is this a surrealistic punk thing that's gonna mock the fact that I'm playing video games? And then I started analyzing it from that lens. Like how you were analyzing it from the coma thing. I was analyzing it from a sheer, is this a surrealistic, self-deprecating game that is actually mocking retro video game people for being who they are? Because think about it, Travis is an otaku. What are retro video game people classified as typically? Otaku, 25-year-olds who didn't get out of their parents' basement, who wouldn't get out of their parents' basement unless their parents died.
And so Travis lives in essentially a bedroom motel.
Yep, stuck in a state of arrested development and only is knocked out of it by the fact that he found someone that he thinks will sleep with him and then decides to get a weapon to try and impress her, even though in the end she's not impressed by that.
Well,
it's a fascinating analysis over what I think Suda 5-1 is characterizing as the straw man of modern video games.
So the thing that pisses me off the most about this game,
okay,
it does the thing that I hate when movies do this. It ends with, like, kind of leading up to, we'll see you in the next game.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you so much.
And the funny thing is, I was looking into it because I got bored, and I remember enjoying Desperate Struggle more, which is for reference, No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle is...
And I've heard great things about that game.
So the funny thing is that when I was looking at it, No More Heroes 1, if you analyze it from that critical punk lens, No More Heroes 2 does not fit at all. No More Heroes is a traditional, retro-loving video game with an actual plot that has characters with arc and a plot that makes sense and like a revenge story built into a revenge story with all the old characters back and the cameos. And I was thinking about it, and it makes sense. The first game is this weird, absurd criticism of this entire culture, and the second one is Suda caving and being like, fuck it, you'll buy it. And then making a sequel that doesn't answer any of the questions from the first one, yet still somehow being a successful video game, which, man, this makes so much sense now that I'm saying it out loud. I keep forgetting how punk rock Suda 5-1 is.
You know, I could also make the excuse that in the game, Travis isn't in a coma. Instead, it could just be that you're seeing the world through the lens of Travis, where nothing exists unless he's around.
That is actually so much more possible.
Because the way that the story is presented is it's sort of like Travis is pretty fucking full of himself.
Travis is the supreme example of a narcissist.
And he's narcissistic. He's narcissistic and completely oblivious. Mm-hmm. And everything that isn't important to him might as well not exist.
Well, because there's a good comment by Henry at the end of the game, where he's just like, also, I'm your brother. And Travis is surprised, and then Henry breaks the fourth wall and just says, what? You telling me you and the audience didn't piece together that there was something fishy here? It's like, well, I need to go talk with Sylvia. You do realize Sylvia's my wife, right? Wait, really? And you can't see it, but I'm showing a fake face of shock.
He's doing that ASCII art where you're just kind of shrugging.
Yeah, and it's like, really? And it's a very funny moment where, yeah, I guess the obliviousness makes sense, where Henry's thinking, God, how did you not know any of this? Like, the signals could not have been more clear.
And, like, if you want to talk about narcissistic, like...
Travis is the worst at that.
Like, there are several points where it's little offhand things before you get the phone call about your next challenge.
Oh,
you
my
keep
God.
getting phone calls from the video store.
I love those phone
so
calls.
Travis Touchdown has been renting a lot of porno.
So much porn.
And not only that, but either not returning the porn, or when he does return the tape, what he returns is like a video that he made himself of him having sex with his body pillow.
And the best thing about it is it's always done by the really awkward, like, video game chick, who the video store clerk, who you never meet, by the way, which is probably personal.
When you go to the video store, it's the dude who drops your bike off for you all the time.
I also imagine that there's a video store clerk who just dashes out and is just like, crap, he's here. Dave! And just like darts out the door because
Travis!
Yeah, he's like completely cool with this. Whereas, what's her name? Like Jill from Beefhead Video, where it's the greatest. I want those phone calls in a single YouTube video because that is the most awkward, hilarious nonsense I have ever heard. Just like, hi, this is Jill from Beefhead Video. I'm calling because you have one of our videos. It's named 69, some nonsense innuendo dumb title. Like, if you could bring it back soon, that'd be great. She just sounds like the most defeated retail employee ever.
You appear to have a copy of Coffee and MILFs.
That was and there's like an active, just annoyed sigh before that. Just like, you have a copy of. Just like she has to say the title because it's her job and she's not happy about it.
So like those are some of my favorite parts of the game. Like they're really well executed. They're it's not necessarily my personal brand of humor, but like it's well done.
Yeah.
And compared to like a lot of the like I had complained about earlier, the actual cinematic sequences of the game where you're getting exposition between these characters.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. Yeah. Like the game itself, even let's say you change nothing else, but you just like retooled the localization. Yeah. This game could have been awesome.
I will actually argue that, and I think I probably did this during the original recording. I hope I did. I'm gonna sound like the worst hypocrite ever.
It's alright.
Having played through it again, I forgot how much, despite the fact that I do still love the story, I keep forgetting, and I forgot until I played it again recently, just how much nonsense it is. Like, I still enjoy it from the fact that I don't think, and I mean, we were talking about this both, I don't think what we're seeing in the game is real, and I don't think I ever did. The reality that you're seeing from the perspective of Travis is total nonsense. Like, plot holes abound, nothing makes any sense, most of the characters are ridiculous. Like, in what sense of any stretch of the imagination or suspension of disbelief does Destroy Man exist? Like, there are so many things that
a postal worker by day.
Oh god, just the worst human being by night. There are so many things that.
Well, you're telling me a dude with like a pelvis beam isn't like a really rad superhero?
I mean,
and he's not even a superhero. He's dressed like a superhero.
No, but he's a murderer through and through.
Yeah, the dude is a fucking killer, and not only that, he's also like a bit of a dick because like he keeps
dishonorable asshole.
Yeah, completely dishonorable.
Yeah. I will say one of the funny moments from Desperate Struggle, and why I think, despite the fact that it is technically a sequel, it's a completely different game. Destroy Man comes back, and the best thing is he comes back as two people, having gotten robotic halves on the other half, and his personality even caved into those two different people, where you have the honorable postal worker, who's still a murderer, and the raging psychopath, who is also a murderer, and he's named New Destroy Man, and his music is awesome. And it's a great fight, but there are just those weird moments where the game doesn't make any sense. But I would argue, so the story to me, and the reason I still love this game, is it reminds me a lot of it's about Travis and his progression as a person. The actual context of any of this is totally illogical. It's filler on a plot arc about a person. And it's in the end, and it does fill Travis's narcissism, where it is all about him. It's about his travel as a human being to become a better person, because by the end of it, he does become a genuinely better human being. It just, took a lot of murder. But the plot, like, most of it doesn't make any sense. A lot of those characters are completely ridiculous. And, yeah, the game's still good, and I still like the action. But, yeah, I would say it took a pretty serious hit this time, just from grind and all that other stuff. I'd still say it's a solid 4 out of 5, but it wasn't the 5 that I thought it was when we walked into this.
Actually, you just answered. I was going to say we're running a little long. We need to.
Oh yeah.
So you consider it a 4 out of 5?
I'd say a 4.
4 out of 5.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this game a 3 out of 5. And a lot of it just has to do with the fact that this is a game that is a story that is being told, and I don't think it's being told as well as it could.
Right.
And with that in mind, I want to. Before we go, I just thought of what our next episode's going to be.
Yeah.
You know what movie I love?
What?
Super Mario Brothers, the movie.
Oh, you're kidding.
I love that movie.
Oh, this is going to be a fun one.
We'll see you next time, folks.
Wait, you can't really?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I'm leaving that in.
Thanks for watching Games, Games, Games. If you want to see more videos like this, or if you have any ideas about future videos, why not subscribe to this channel or shoot me a tweet at GGGamesShow. And as always, thanks for watching.